Welcome to the Journey to a Million podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Walker. This podcast is about my personal journey from being $25,000 in debt to getting to $1 million of net worth by the age of 43. Follow along with my journey, implement the ideas, and let's do it together. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's get started. What's going on out there, guys, and welcome to the Journey to a Million podcast. Today is Friday, February 18th. So I'm doing a video today just kind of checking in on the stock market because with all the geopolitical stuff going on and some of the indicators that I've been watching, I just think that with the market closed on Monday, I think that we're going to see a big pullback in the markets, and here's why. So I'm here on this Webull desktop and I'm just going to do that. So basically what I've been looking at lately is a lot of the crossovers, and the crossovers have been pretty accurate by today. I've been watching the crossovers on the 1 minute, and every time, this is the weekly chart that we're looking at for the SPY. I should tell you that. But yeah, so with the weekly crossover or just the 1 minute crossovers today on the charts, I've been watching SPY, and it's been very accurate as to, just watching the moves. You can watch the MACD below. And then like with that, when you see these curves start, flattening out, then going back to the upside, it's basically, I've just been trying to predict what SPY is going to do based on the crossovers. But I, in general, with the markets and crypto, I've been watching the weekly moving averages and then the 13 and 30-day moving averages. So I'm looking at the SPY over the past couple years here. And as you can see, we've been on a massive run since March of 2020. We've gone from the bottom of 218 all the way up to a top of 479. So that's an insane run compared to like here, where we had a SPY run from about 233 to 838. So, I mean, it was about a 1.5x or something like that. Whereas here we had a 2.5x almost over a 2-year period. So I think that everybody's, with all the inflation plus geopolitical stuff, I just think that Tuesday morning, it's going to be kind of like a big pullback in the stock market. And the reason that I really think that is just because, as you can see here with the weekly moving averages, we look like we're about to come down and cross over the gold is the 13 and the blue is the 30. We're about to cross over here probably sometime next week, if not Tuesday. And the last 2 times that we've done this was March of 2020, and we went from about 339 all the way down to 218. So I don't think it's going to be that crazy because that was a much bigger worldwide thing. I do think there could be some potential bad news. I don't want to predict anything. But, there are a lot of fears geopolitically going on. And then, of course, we've kind of been in this big tech bubble for the past 2 years. And then as well, if you look at back in, this was November of 2018, going into December, we had this crossover again. And then we went all the way down from about 280 to about 233. So, these are big 20% or more corrections. This was like a 40% correction that rebounded fairly quickly. I mean, both of them have come back within a few weeks. But I think in general, I've just heard a lot of bearish sentiment in the markets. And then again, today, it just seems like everyone's kind of taking their money out of the market and just kind of being risk off. I do think there's a lot of stuff that's indicating bearish sentiment. So, and as you can see, just with these crossovers, I mean, they're pretty accurate because you can see we had a crossover here to the upside. And then from there, we went from about 284, 285, all the way up. We stayed here to about 380. Sorry, not 380, 340. So let's see, what was that? 280 to 340 before we had the next crossover back down again. And you see we topped out there. Okay. And then we crossed up again here. That was in July of 2020. And that was when the SPY was at about 323 as a high. And then we haven't crossed it again. We've had that peak of 490, 479 before we're seeing this again. So, you know, the only thing that could be, it's going to go one way or the other, I feel like, because, you know, if the stock market has a really good day on Monday or next week and it bounces back, it's just going to touch this and keep going up, and then we'll continue this. But I do think, based on the trajectory of this, plus all the other bearish things that have been going on, I do think that there is going to be a pullback in the market. And I think if we do cross this, like we saw Bitcoin cross it recently, and it went from about 45,000, or sorry, yeah, maybe 40 or 50,000, somewhere in there, to about 36,000, 32,000 was a low. So we got like a 30 to 40% pullback on Bitcoin. I think, you know, we could be in for something similar here. So I'm kind of expecting that to come out on Tuesday. So just wanted to put this video out there to see if it happens, because, you know, I do think the crossovers are the easiest indicators. So just to kind of look at it, what I've been looking at it today, this is the daily chart for the SPY, the 1 minute. Let's see. So just starting out at about, like 12 o'clock today, crossed up, crossed down, and it stayed in a bearish trend all the way from, you know, let's see, what was that? Sorry. 433 down to 432. I mean, these are not big swings, but at the terms of like percentage points, you know, there are. And then we crossed up again, and we went from 432 to about 434 again, like touching here, but then having a big rally. I mean, every time we're crossing, it's just basically like that's your top and bottom, or at least the middle of each one. And you can see we keep doing this here, you know, and it's just like, basically, whenever you can see these little MACD curves becoming bigger than smaller, that's kind of telling you when you're kind of like at the bottom of the trend, pretty much. So that's what I like to look at as well. But this is just a small term thing indicating this. And then if we look at the kind of line chart of the market lately, I mean, we did cross this up a good bit before, you know. You can see we crossed it already here. This is on only the 30-minute chart. So let's see if we can go back to the daily. Yeah, so I mean, we've still, like, if you just look at these indicators indicate, I feel like they're just indicators of bigger moves. So you get this pump here on the daily chart from 13 and 30, and we go all the way up here from 450 to 470, almost 469. And then we barely crossed up, and then crossed down, and then crossed it up again. Then we had a pump from 455, 460 to all the way up to 477 at the high. And then when it crossed again, we were at the 450s, you know, and now we're in the 430s. Yeah. So, I mean, I do think, and if we're extrapolating that on the weekly, I think the weekly, it's a much harder cross, you know. So if we're crossing here, we're going to get much bigger moves up or down. Like, I just think all these indicators are based on what your time frame is. Like, it's an indicator of a much bigger move. So that being said, that's kind of the point of this, is to say, like, based on the weekly crossing right here, I just think we're kind of in this mode for a bearish next week. So I've gone risk off. You know, I'm just kind of waiting, because I don't think it's worth the risk right now. I kind of bought back in with some crypto and was hoping it would continue the rally, but it didn't. So I lost a little bit, you know, buying and selling my positions. And, you know, that's just how it goes. But it's like, sometimes you have to take a small loss just to protect yourself from a bigger one. So it's just part of the game, and we're learning every day. So that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys probably on Tuesday or sometime next week, and we'll reanalyze this. And we still need to cap off the sports betting versus investing challenge. Was a good Super Bowl. I wish it would have ended with less flags. That's about it. So y'all have a good weekend and stay safe out there. All right.